Hi everyone, welcome to Stitching It. Today I wanted to show you guys a little bit of embroidery floss that I've been working with over the past 3 years. This is a complete set of DMC equivalent colors by CXC, which is a brand of floss from China, and is you can order it over the internet, but I've been using it since 2016, and I wanted to share some differences and some peculiarities and things that I've learned when I've been working with this floss since then. So today I'm going to show you a cross-stitch project that I've had framed for about 3 years, and I'm going to show you another work in progress that I have using this floss, as well as some stitch samples of a comparison and close-up shots between the two types of floss. So this is the first project that I finished and framed with CXC floss, and I've had it finished for about 3 years now. So it's holding up fine so far, and you know, the thread is labeled as color fast, and I have no reason to believe that it's not at this point, and I hope it continues to be so, at least for the rest of my lifetime. But I don't remember why exactly I decided to purchase the CXC floss, but I do remember that it must have been, you know, money related, because for about $30 still you can get one entire set of all of the DMC colors. That is not inclusive of the newest colors that DMC released in 2017. This project is stitched on 14 count Aida, and I think that the coverage worked really well for that. You know, this is some pretty close-up shots, and much closer than you might look yourself when you're coming, if you came over to my house to look at it. But I don't want to remark too much on what the stitches themselves look like. But one of the first things that you'll notice if you start working with this floss and you're used to DMC is the strands are just a little bit fuller than DMC. DMC I would describe as a little bit finer, a little bit thinner, and has a little bit different sheen than the CXC brand of floss. Here I've laid a length of floss of both brands side by side so you could get a good comparison. The DMC is on the top, and while the color comparison is pretty true, I think that that CXC floss on the bottom, still the strand just looks a little bit thicker, a little bit more tightly spun maybe together than the DMC. But I think that it actually works great for lower count fabrics. This is another project that I am working on finishing up in my CXC floss. It has really been convenient to have all of the DMC colors at my disposal, so whenever I want to start something really quickly, you know, I can really reach for this set and get whatever I need out. But I have noticed that switching to the 32 count linen, the stitches are definitely thicker and fuller than they would be as if I was using DMC. So I've done a little bit of stitching with it on 18 count and 36 count, for example, and at that point I do prefer to switch over to DMC. You know, it works fine on the 32 count, and I've been stitching this project mostly in hand, so hopefully the tension is okay, you know, because I've still been learning that process. Both of the examples that I've shown so far are using 2 strands and stitched over 2 threads on the ground fabric, but I also really like having this floss and using it with 1 strand on a smaller count, either 22 count or 25 count is also great for using 1 strand for any kind of full coverage or haid stitching that you might find yourself in. You know, if you aren't ready to commit to kit up an entire haid, you can still get all the colors you might need, at least one skein of everything, you know, with this brand, and experiment as much as you like with full coverage stitching. So that's why I've really enjoyed having it, you know, even though there are plenty of times when I definitely prefer the DMC. And there's definitely some differences between the DMC, so now I'll show you guys a little bit more about that. It's always a good idea to separate your strands of floss by stripping them, which I'm doing here so I can show you close up a little bit of comparison between the brands. The DMC is on the left and the CXC is there on the right. And you can still see that the CXC floss is just a tad heavier and a tad thicker, you know, than the DMC floss. So, like I said, it really makes it nice for the lower counts of fabric. The background fabric that you see here that I'll be stitching on today is 28 count linen from Zweigart, and the color is 304, a nice just plain red color, so everything will be easily visible. And I'm just going to do some basic cross stitches for you so you can see exactly how they turn out. This first row is going to be done with 2 strands of DMC, and I am using a sewing method to stitch in hand. I like to go across in a row and stitch the first leg and then come back around with the second leg. For this second row, I'm going to be stitching the same color in CXC floss, and as it stitches up, it really doesn't stitch any different than the DMC, although it has an overall softer feel to the floss than DMC. And also I've noticed that as it wears down, as I use it, if I have to rethread my needle, the ends can kind of split, and you have to use a needle threader or really hold them together to try to get it through your needle. Although I've tried both brands over the past few years, I'd never done a side-by-side comparison, so I was really interested in doing a video to show you guys if you could see any details on camera that I couldn't. And really, when I was taking turns stitching them, it really, you know, it was basically about the same. And I'll show the finished result to you. Like I said, I used 28 count this time because I thought that would really showcase the stitches a little bit better than using a higher count. But on the higher counts, like I said, one strand works better. So what do you think? Can you tell a difference? You know, even this close up, can you see which is which? Or do you think that the CXC floss is worth trying to save a little few dollars on to get an entire set? I wouldn't say it's a substitute for your DMC, but it's definitely an option if you want to have access to all the colors all the time. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it and you got to learn a little bit about this brand of floss if you're not familiar with it. And I hope that you will tune in for the next one, and thanks for watching.
Happy birthday, dear Steven. Happy birthday.